we come to an absolutely important point: metrics. What should you be measuring and why? This is, of course, in the early stage of a company. Why are we measuring is an absolutely important question. We're trying to take noise that is coming in the form of many data points that we have to choose from and find the signal, the things that we should be tracking, especially at the beginning where we don't have an unlimited set of resources. We have a finite set of capabilities that we have to use wisely. Why are we measuring? We need to know our stuff. If we know what we're measuring and why we're measuring it, we can probably acquire funding much faster. We can probably acquire customers much faster because we can express why we're doing what we're doing very easily. We want to measure because we want to level up. We want to have the ability to capture the right numbers and succeed, achieve the next milestone. We want to make funding easier. If we're measuring accurately and we can show that we are growing week over week by our milestone projections, funding is going to be much easier. We want to back up our team and About Us page. Essentially that page for a new startup that probably doesn't have a lot of folks that have already made a $1 billion company or a $100 million company will need some backing up to say that this is why we're so successful and why we need funding at this point. So this attaches to the funding point. It's essentially your resume. The last piece is it forces you to strategize or plan. I'll give you a quote at the last slide of this little presentation to express that again. Here's a couple of quotes to get started with. From Steve Blank. A startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. If you're at this early stage where you're in search of something, you should not look for everything. John von Neumann. No sense in being precise when you don't even know what you're talking about. Meaning that you could be a little bit wrong at the beginning. Try out a couple of different options, and if you're wrong, it's okay because you're learning and iterating quickly. Web metrics are indeed complex. You'll see that these companies are built for the small guys and the big companies. And so, of course, the big companies will need a lot of different features. You don't need all of that. Be careful. Your objective should be simple. I'm going to look at my sales funnel, at my service funnel. For my sales funnels, I'm going to take a look at revenue. Try to identify my high margin business. I'm going to try to identify where my abandonment funnel is really leaking and where my wasted acquisition cost is going. For my service funnel, I'm going to take a look at utilization. What am I building and what are my customers using? Am I building the wrong things, and should I be using my resources to build the things that the customers want to use? So what should I track, you might ask? Well, customer sources. Where are your customers coming from? Where are you spending your money? Where's your customer acquisition cost being most effective? Conversions. Refine the market segmentation. Perhaps you didn't quite identify the customer exactly as you wanted the last time. Which customers are the most valuable to you? And lastly, retention. Payback period. Be careful. Most people try to take a look at the long-term value or the total life value of the customer. Your objective is to take a look at the payback period. How long does it take for you to make your customer acquisition cost back? You better hope that that's a short period of time, because in 3 to 5 years, whether you like it or not, there will be some sort of exit plan, at least for the investors. What tool should I use? Well, quite honestly, you could use any of them. Remember, they're all probably built for the big guys, and so for the few number of things that you have to measure, they'll all be able to do it. So choose one that you enjoy working with and work with it. Remember, there are errors with these tools, and so if you keep your own database, you'll find out that the error might be 10, 15, 20, and maybe a little bit more percent in terms of what they might tell you it is and what your database says it is. How do I find what's wrong and how do I track everything? Remember, you're not tracking everything. You want to become a hive mind. My suggestion is that you use the entire team, which is probably at the beginning stages 3, 5, at maximum probably 10 people large. All of you should be there at that customer service number. When someone calls, when someone sends an email, all of you would be most likely to receive it at one point in time. You shouldn't all receive it every time, but one of you should be there or two of you should be there to receive it. That way your engineer who's developing the software or your pharmacist who's developing the operational plan might have the ability to understand the problem at hand, as opposed to having one person that's always dedicated who then becomes a collector of future work projects. What works for me? Well, a lot of people think that they're going to go for a bundle. They're going to go for Google AdWords, buy other AdWords, blog about it, have influencer marketing, outbound email marketing. There are an endless supply of things that you think you can do. But most likely you will find one or two items that you can do in your business that are specific to you and work very well in acquiring your customer segment. So you're probably going to do a lot of A/B comparison. Run the first couple of items, see which one works better. If neither of them work well, try a different two. If one of them works well, remove that one that doesn't and try the next one. Compare your customer acquisition cost. Remember how I said at the last slide? I'm going to bring in another quote from Dwight D. Eisenhower, our 34th President of the United States. In preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. I hope this slide deck has helped you begin planning for what your metrics should look like, because that'll be one of the most important strategies for how you should evolve the next steps of your business.